battle raged around me, and I looked up in horror as men died around me. Things were looking dire. My entire body ached with pain. My arms felt like lead, and my sword fell lazily at my side. I wanted to do more, but the enemy was strong and powerful. Their numbers were overwhelming. The numbers were overwhelming us, and each second it seemed like all hope was lost. I tried to walk, but my legs felt as if someone had tied cinder blocks to them. Come on, I told myself, rise, but the pain was too much. It confined me and bound me up like constricting chains, slowly tightening and restraining my movements. The more I tried to move. I fell on one knee, breathing hard as my entire body began to shut down. A soldier dressed in obsidian-colored armor and standing over 8 foot tall stood in front of me with a crimson-colored sword hovering over his head. So I thought as I looked up at him, this is the end. I wasn't ready to die. There was so much more that I wanted to accomplish, so much more that I needed to do. Still, I lived a good life, made good friends, went on some cool adventures. In what seemed like milliseconds, I saw my entire life flash before my eyes. Every mistake I made, every good time I had flashed through my eyes like a projector. Despite the situation I was in, I smiled. I lived a good life. You fought bravely, boy. The Midnight Warrior's voice raised across my skin like a knife. But in the end, not even the brightest light can hide from the darkness. A red hue emanated from his sword like a beacon, and the entire atmosphere around me began to tremble. I stared up into the warrior's voidless eyes, unwilling to give him the satisfaction of having me turn away. If I was going to die, then I was going to die how I wanted to. He lowered his sword, and I prepared myself for what was to come. Suddenly, the darkness behind the warrior lit up like a firework as the entire sky began to shine as if the day had suddenly come. The warrior's sword fell short only inches from my face, and he suddenly turned around, and his entire being began to shake. In front of me, I looked across the horizon, and my heart crawled into my throat as I saw a brilliant pillar of light hover over the land. It was so giant and magnificent, towering over even the mountains that scattered the landscape. It burned like the sun, and was so bright that it made all the other light around it seem like darkness in comparison. The shadowy warrior's body trembled as if it was having a seizure, and his sword dropped to his side. No, he whispered, impossible. The light started moving towards the battlefield, igniting everything in its path, including the earth in a blaze of white flames. The once harsh and heavy tones of battle deafened into an eerie silence as everyone stopped what they were doing and stared into the sight before them. My heart began to speed in my chest, so much to the point that I thought it was going to beat out of my ribcage. A fear suddenly enveloped my heart, and yet it wasn't a fear like I was afraid of death. More if I was staring into something unknown, something filled with wonder and awe. Because at the same time, I felt a peace fall over me that I hadn't felt in years, as if everything in my path was clear and visible, as a certainty about everything was suddenly coming into view. As the light passed over the battlefield, the cries of the enemy began to fill the air as the white flames traveled over their bodies, slowly burning them to cinders. Yet the flames passed harmlessly over my friends, enveloping them like blankets. No, 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 the warrior roared into the air like a beast. I was going to win. I was going to be victorious. This land was supposed to be mine. He turned away from me and aimed his sword at the pillar of light, which was slowly starting to condense and shrink in size. I won't let you win, the warrior growled. Not this time. In response, the light pulsated, and a wave of force smashed into the warrior, breaking off chunks of his ebonic armor. The warrior still stood on his feet and held out his sword in front of him. I will destroy everything, it hissed, and there is nothing you can do about it. The light slowly began to change shape into that of a man that I couldn't help but look upon it in awe. He stood even taller than the obsidian warrior, at least 10 feet tall, hovering a couple inches above the ground, surrounded in an aura of heat. His skin was the color of burning gold, and hair that whipped in blinding white flames. Muscular and toned skin. Muscular and toned skin burned underneath a full set of armor, and a sword wrapped in swirling flames hung at his side. His face was a mix of masculine and feminine features, changing and shifting like a stream of water, but when he smiled, the entire world seemed to brighten up tenfold. At the moment, I couldn't describe what I was feeling, standing in front of this being. I felt like I was sitting in the middle of an ocean as the waves and currents crashed against my body, yet at the same time still being on land. The black warrior charged the second time with a roar as pieces of black armor were stripped from his flesh, and he swung his sword at the golden warrior, who with merely a flick of his wrist slashed his own sword. Thunder shook the earth as a blast of light emanated from the warrior's sword like an explosion. I was blinded from what could have been the sun itself. And everything settled, the light died out, and the battlefield was completely empty of the enemy, except for whiffs of black smoke that floated aimlessly into the sky. I looked up at the golden warrior, whose power alone set the land ablaze. "Who are you?" I asked, and he smiled a smile so pure and good it made me feel like I was staring into the face of my parents. "You already know." His voice was a whispering thunder. My knees buckled and I fell on the floor on my face, bowing. And the verse I have with this is, "The Lord is a man of war. The Lord, his name, your right hand, O Lord, has become glorious in power. Your right hand, O Lord, has dashed the enemy in pieces. And in the greatness of your excellence, you have overthrown those who have rose against you. You sent forth your wrath, which has consumed them like stubble."
What verse is that?
Exodus 15:3 and 6.
I didn't find that.